Okay, welcome, my friends. In the previous sections, we've learned the while loops. So in this section, we're going to learn another type of loop in JavaScript called the for loop. So the for loop is similar to the while loop. They both let us repeat code and write that dry code that I told you about. They're a little different in their syntax, however. So it makes our objective here very clear. We need to understand the purpose of for loops. Why do we use one of those versus a while loop? And of course, we do want to write valid for loops. So here, let me show you the syntax of the for loops. We write the word for, and that's the keyword, and then in parentheses, there are three parts. These three parts are initialize, the condition, and the step. So it can seem a little different at first look, but I'll clarify this, don't worry. So the key here is that we write the word for. And we have the parentheses. Three different things go in the parentheses, and then we have curly braces. And inside the curly braces, we write the code that we want to run. So as long as this condition returns true, we're going to run this code. So to be able to understand it all just a little bit better, I'll give you a clear example. So let's say that I want to make the same example that we made earlier with the while loops. Yeah, we'll do that. So we print out the numbers between 1 and 10 with the while loop, just like this. So I just want to copy this code part here and paste it in here. All right, so we can talk about this as well. So yeah, we printed out numbers between 1 and 10, just like this with a while loop. So now let's make the same with a for loop. So I'll say for, and in parenthesis, and then curly braces. Then we create a variable inside the parenthesis, just like I showed in the syntax. So I'm calling it number and setting it equal to 1. Then we need to write our condition. So what is my condition here? Number is less than 11. Exactly like we made in the while loops. And then we have our increment, which is going to add 1 to the number. So it's conceptually similar to the while loop. So of course you can see the equivalent while loop up here. Now the big difference here is that this is just shorter, and the other difference is that this variable number only exists inside the loop. So this variable for a while loop must be initialized outside so that we can use it here inside the while loop. But in a for loop, we can make a variable that exists only for a moment inside of this loop. You follow? So, okay, now inside the curly braces, I can say console.log number. So let me just go over this one more time, okay? We're making a variable called number, and it starts at 1. Every time through the loop, we'll add 1 to the number, and we keep going while the number is less than 11. So it means that the first time we run it, this number is 1, and it gets printed out. Next time we've added 1, it's still less than 11. So then it gets printed out. We keep going until the number is 11. So when it's no longer less than 11, the code stops running. Okay, so let's save all this and go to our console. So I'll refresh the page here, and we see the result. Let's go back to our code. Okay, so now we created our first for loop. Here we saw how to make this with a while loop as well. And we talked about the differences between the for and the while loops. Okay, so now that you see that difference, I want to give you just a little bit of a quiz to, practice your new knowledge. Actually, I'm going to use the questions that we used earlier in the while loops. So I'll just copy these questions here and paste them here. All right, so let's make a refactor on questions. This time, I want you to print out odd numbers between 132 and 148 instead of even numbers. And the second question, this time I want you to print out the numbers that are divisible by 7 and 5 at the same time. Okay, so this is your code quiz for for loops. And of course, take your time, solve it on your own, or at least try. Okay, then we're going to go on in the next video, and you're going to see our solutions. Okay, so we'll pause right here and continue with the solutions in the next section. Good luck.